Just because you stop with a band like Delirious, to me I still wake up every day to be a voice, to sing songs, to write songs that help people. So I don't think that will ever go away because I feel it so deeply.
You know, after Delirious, all that you're involved in, you might think about sort of retiring or taking it a bit easy, but you sort of seem to be on this new exciting journey, adventure, new music. You've got all these EPs, working with new musicians. You've moved to Brighton, and yet you get a bunch of students together, probably never ever played on an album before in their lives, and you record with them.
Well, strange, and you know, we recorded it at the end of the house. We had a little studio in the house, and we, you know, just did it all there.
Yeah.
Got some guys from the local church involved, and I'm going to put some music out, and everyone's going to hear this. You know, is it any good?
Yeah.
And I just thought, no, this is the way.
Yeah.
For me, I love the team thing and relationship, and I think being professional is too overrated. You know, I don't think, what does that mean anyway? And who gets to say it's professional or excellent? I mean, how do you grade it, you know?
Look, you don't seem to mind the odd mistake. In fact, let's just watch this. This is you came to lead at Worship Central, and probably one of the first times you led without the Delirious band.
Yeah.
Very, very profound, holy moment. And this happens. Let's watch this.
Oh, bless him.
You're so passionate, so sincere.
Here we go. About to read something.
I look, you're looking around. What do you think? You look pretty...
I'm thinking, who's mucking around?
Sort of poker face, like I'm looking as if this is totally normal. But so what happened?
So the story is that Anna's younger brother, Ben, I'd brought him out to play drums.
Yeah.
And he's a bit of a clown anyway. And I thought that he'd started a drum machine, you know, as a laugh. So that look round is like,
you're a dead man.
Holy is the Lord, but I'm going to kill you. I'm actually going to kill you. And then I'd obviously put my Bible down on the keyboard and it set a drum machine off. It was the thing is, you spend your whole lifetime trying to create a YouTube clip that is cool, and the most hits I've ever had is the...
Well, with Worship Central, we spent hours producing all these videos on training people, and that's the most watched Worship Central video we've ever had. In all seriousness, sometimes those moments where it all goes horribly wrong, probably imagine for the 2,000 worship leaders there, was the best moment of that whole weekend conference, because they realise, even Martin Smith messes it up.
Yeah,
even it goes wrong for him, because we're used to that, aren't we?
Definitely. It's a very unique thing that we're involved in.
Yeah. And
you need space for that. And I do think we rush it too much these days. In the name of let's make this excellent and professional, and come on, we're running a show. You know,
when I've seen you lead worship recently, again, it's raw. It's you're not trying to go for this really clean sound, as it were. It just feels much more emotive.
I don't know whether it's intentional, but it just really is where I'm at. I think one of the things that happens when you're involved in something that's so big, and you know you're always travelling and you're always out, you're throwing yourself out there all the time, is that sometimes you can lose a little bit of your soul along the way. It's a hard thing to explain what that means, but I can remember sometimes almost watching myself go on stage, you know, like watching Martin Smith go on stage and do what he did, and feeling a little bit disconnected from the sort of emotion of it. And that's okay every now and again, but when that happens a bit more, you get a bit worried about, is this really, am I really in touch with what's going on here? So I think this whole season has been about me reconnecting with who I am.
What did you learn about yourself?
It's been a sort of a joyful time of rediscovering who I am a little bit.
And imagine with that stuff, you can't just turn it on when you step up to the microphone. It's got to be an attitude of giving space to God in the whole of your life. I mean, how do you do that?
Yeah, I guess that's where you can't compartmentalise your life. You know, you can't think, oh, well, that's the church bit of my life, that's the worship bit, that's what I do with the kids. This bit over here is what I do with my money. You know, and this bit over here is what I do with people. You know, if I'm driving and I'm annoyed with them, you know, somehow the whole of your life has got to work as one.
Yeah.
And when you start to section bits off, you get in trouble, I think. Something amazing can happen when a generation of people that say they believe in God actually do. I think, you know, one person on their own can do great things, but a generation together can do extraordinary things.
What was the big pull that why did you decide to move to Brighton?
I think that building in the middle of the city really feels like the church thing's just like kicked into another whole gear. I think that's what hooked us, and now we're there. It just feels like that's what we're going to give our lives to. I've always believed that the only real long-lasting things that ever have big impact on community always comes out of the local church. And you know, I do believe in that, even though it's flawed and we're in it and it's imperfect and there's always troubles and hassles and you know, I don't like the music or I don't. That aside, after all these years, I still believe that's the only thing that really works.
So you've released this new album, God's Great Dance Floor. It's your first solo album. How are these songs different perhaps from stuff you've done before?
Well, I think they've come out of this period of transition, of starting in a, okay, God, what am I going to do? I'm always hunting for those moments that are way above and beyond what we can just do in the normal. I think that what we do as church is unique to anything else that happens on the planet. We get the chance to help God connect with people and people connect with God.
Yeah.
And it's a very unique thing that happens, you know, when you feel that God's in the room and the heavens open and He's doing extraordinary things that you read about in the Bible, you know.
I mean, do you think sometimes when you look in the church and perhaps the songs that are most regularly sung, the church has got a bit safe in terms of how we express worship to God?
You know, we believe in a God that is super, super creative. You know, you look at some of the paintings that is painted through people, you know, some of the incredible poetry. So we know all of that exists and more, and yet somehow we find it difficult to let that into our local church setting. You know, it's how do we do that? Yeah. And I think that is a great challenge, but we've got to widen out. We've got to find space for all those creative bits, because otherwise we won't really reflect the community that we live in, because all that's going on and more. And yet we try and run something that is a very narrow reflection of what's happening around us, but actually sometimes we've just got to go, come on, we've got to throw all this in the pot and let it be an amazing sound, an amazing prayer to God. That really is worship, isn't it? It's the community coming together. Come on, we're gonna tell God how amazing He is with everything that we've got.
So God's Great Dance Floor, I mean, it's this great image.
Yeah.
Is that kind of where you're going with that song?
I think it is. I was really inspired through this whole time about the story of the prodigal son. And just amazed again at how much he blew it, you know, how this kid runs off with all the inheritance. He just totally ruins his life, spends his dad's money. And yet when he comes back, there's his dad. And I think, you know, now I'm a dad, you know, 6 kids. I can totally relate to that, you know. If that happened to me, would I be so welcoming? But I think you would. You just like, it doesn't matter whatever you've done. I don't care. Right now, you're with me. You know, you're standing with me. You're my kid, and I love you. And And that is what God's like with us. And I think that's impacted me so much during this period of time. That was the thing about the prodigal son coming home, is that he heard the sound of music.
Yeah.
And I suppose my dream is still that where we are, we make this incredible sound. You know, we make incredible music. And that people down the road hear the sound of it,
Yeah.
and they're drawn to it and come in and go, my goodness, I never knew that God was alive, let alone that he's interested in me. And the great thing is that, you know, for all of us, it doesn't matter where we've come from, what we've done, you know, we are invited to the dance floor.